Well, greetings from Cooley Law School. My name is Patrick Corbett, and I'm a professor of criminal law here at Thomas M. Cooley Law School in Lansing, Michigan. In this video clip, I'd like to talk to you about how the criminal laws of Michigan might apply to how people use high-tech communication tools like MySpace or Facebook. This information is important because it'll help you recognize if you're some kind of a victim of cyber harassment. It's also going to help you because it'll help you recognize if you are doing something with those communication tools that has put you in a position where you're doing something illegal, where you could actually be prosecuted for what you're doing. If so, hopefully the video will empower you to change the way you communicate through your social network site. Looking at the hypothetical, let's explore what happens here between Robert and Eric. Robert dislikes Eric, so he decides to set up a MySpace site in Eric's name. On the site, posing as Eric, he posts a message stating that he, Eric, is a homosexual and is looking for a gay partner. In fact, Eric is not a homosexual. Eric is so upset that he misses school for several days and has to visit a doctor due to extraordinary headaches. Is this a crime? I want to tell you that this hypothetical that we're discussing here is based upon a real event that occurred here in Michigan. Let's look at the law, see how it applies. Michigan law has a prohibition against a person from posting a message, whether it's truthful or untruthful, on a social network site if that person intends to harass another individual by the posting. This is often referred to as cyber harassment. Let's look at the law in specific detail on a few key points. First of all, posting a message. Well, how do you post a message? Well, there's a lot of ways you could post a message. It could be on a billboard. It could be in the wall on the school, in a corkboard within the school. It could be in a cell phone text message sent out to a group of different people. It could be on, like we have here, on a social network site. So the posting can be done in many ways. Note also that the law says it can be truthful or untruthful. So it could be a lie or it could be the truth. You know from our hypothetical that Eric, in fact, is not a homosexual. So what Robert said about Eric on the MySpace site, in fact, is a lie. Can you think of situations where it might be harassing to an individual, whether this fact is true or not true? Let's think about it. Eric, maybe he is a homosexual. Let's just assume for a moment that he is. But he doesn't tell anybody about it. He doesn't want anybody to know about it because he's not sure himself. That's just what he's thinking. But he shared it with his friend Robert, and Robert decided to tell everybody else about it. Would that be harassing? Would that be upsetting? Yeah, that's a situation where the truth could be very upsetting to Eric. Now let's flip the situation and say this. He's not a homosexual. Well, he's not a homosexual, and he's being held out on this MySpace site as if he is a homosexual. So we can see situations where both the truth as well as a lie could be very upsetting, especially in the context of this hypothetical. Note that the act of the posting of the message has to be done specifically with the intent to harass another individual by the posting. That means he's not making this posting by mistake or accident. He's actually intending to cause another individual to be upset by the posting. So if you make a mistake and just not thinking, and it's not something you're actually intending to hurt somebody, it's not going to be easy for the prosecutor to be able to prosecute the case. Note a couple other bullets on the PowerPoint slide. The person has to know that the posting could result in 2 or more acts of unconsented contact with the individual. What does that mean? In other words, Robert, when he posted it, had to know that there's a possibility that at least 2 other people might look at this social network site and communicate with Eric. It doesn't mean that they have to. It just means that he has to, that is Robert, has to know that the potential exists for that to occur. So maybe there are people out there who want to pursue Eric as a homosexual, and so they contact him. That would be the kind of thing that we're talking about where the posting could result in 2 or more acts of unconsented contact with the individual. And of course we know Eric is not consenting to this. It's not something he ever agreed to do. Plus, the posting has to be bad enough that it actually causes the individual, in this case Eric, to feel frightened or harassed, and would also cause others to feel the same way. Let's think about that one. Well, in proving that, we have to actually look to the evidence, don't we? And the hypothetical indicated that Eric was so upset that he missed a week of school and he had to visit a doctor due to the extraordinary headaches. That's evidence to reflect that he was actually feeling harassed. Then the next question is, would others feel the same way? Well, put yourself in Eric's situation. How many of you would also feel harassed by this, whether it's the truth or not the truth? Either way, you could feel that this might be a situation where the average person in your class would feel harassed. It sure looks like Robert is facing a crime punishable by up to 2 years in prison based upon his conduct. Are there any other crimes that might be involved? Well, under Michigan law, it is prohibited to use a computer to, and you see this from the PowerPoint slide, it's in quotation marks because it's right out of the law, to commit, attempt to commit, conspire to commit, or solicit another person to commit a crime. What did Robert do here? He used a computer to commit a crime. What was the crime he intended to do or that he did? Cyber harassment. He's facing a separate crime simply because he used a computer to do it. In passing this law, the Michigan legislature concluded that a crime is worse if you use a computer to do it. You may not agree with the Michigan legislature's decision to do that. You may think that's going too far. But at least from this point forward, you'll be aware that in fact that is available to a prosecutor for consideration to charge an individual. Any other charges? What about identity theft? What did Robert do? He concealed who he was. It was Robert that was putting the information on the social network site, and he was pretending to be who? Eric. So what does the Michigan law say? It prohibits concealing your own true identity, which certainly Robert seemed to do here, and using the personal identifying information of another person, here Eric. And the personal identifying information is defined by the law very broadly, and it can include something as simple as your name, as another person's name. He used his personal identifying information of Eric to commit another unlawful act. And what was the other unlawful act? Cyber harassment. So, what's Robert facing? 3 potential charges: cyber harassment, computer crime, and identity theft. I hope this video gives you some good ideas on how to not use your social network site. Thanks for listening.